So it's August 6th, 2017. It's about 10 to 5 p.m. And I'm at my rest area for the night. I'm on a lake that I'm familiar with. There's a camp nearby. Technically, I'm probably too close if I do stay the night here, but it's a Sunday, and if they want to come out and sue me, then if I stay here, then they can do that and get in line too. So, I wanted to talk about something. I don't want to make this segment rehearsed, and I've got a piece of paper in front of me of the points that I want to make, and I may stick with it, I may not, because it's too much work to not relax and be able to let my mind work. What happens, I'm starting to understand about myself, is that when my mind is in think mode, it's solving these perplexed problems and figuring all these things out. And so, a daily routine of, talking and explaining things to people, I very much limit it, and it's not easy for me to talk. So, it's the same thing where, I've talked about this before, when I'm working on my physical body and exercising well and everything, and just focusing on that, I'm pretty streamlined. I can get around, and I can, handle interactions cool and everything. But I can't think well. My thinking abilities are kind of turned off. And other times when my thinking abilities come on, I need quiet time. I have to enforce it, and it's work. Thinking is work, and if you think thinking isn't work, you're a fool. I need to explain. Explaining is work. Yesterday was the Sabbath. It started Friday night. And here I'm suffering these afflictions so bad. I've got like a faulty brakes on my truck. They're sticking. It's overheating the transmission. The transmission is frying because of it. I've taken it to a shop. They gave it back to me, and I noticed a broken tie rod that they missed, and I secured it the best I could with fencing wire, like destitute, completely out of money, living in the woods, being eaten by horseflies, having to pull all the four wheels off the truck again with a yellow phlegm cold. It's been like the third, fourth one I've got in just the year, in this year. And I'm not eating right. I'm not healthy. I'm drinking a lot of wine. I don't take synthetic drugs. I don't go to doctors or anything like that. I'm almost 50. I've got injuries that would disable a normal person. I am disabled. I was considered permanently disabled. I'm a walking miracle, doing what I can do, and I'm fighting a horsefly right now. He likes the smell of my feet, apparently. He was looking for something to bite, looking for a bite to eat. So I'm suffering these afflictions, and I'm crying at night, and it was pouring down rain and stuff, and I'm like, if I'm stranded, I'm living in my truck, my vehicle, the transmission goes, or I lose a wheel, I get in an accident, no insurance, no brakes, bad brakes, and I have to live by faith and practice what I preach, and I have to go through the fire because I preach that. But I'm like, God, something needs to break or something. I mean, would jail be better than this? You get some sleep, maybe get some rest, and I need a rescue. I need some kind of rescue. Okay, is it a person? I mean, How long do I have to endure these afflictions? And then the Sabbath came, and Friday I got, I have maybe $10 of the, not even $10 of all the money that I had a couple days ago, and it's, I don't have it now, so, I've got a visitor, and I hope he moves on. Yes, thank you. Yeah, okay, so, I got some of my bills paid, most of them, the bad ones. And if I didn't get the 4 wheels off and get this tie rod together and get rock climb down to this place that I was in, probably that started the damage to begin with, or the damage increased, there would be a horseflies are mean. There would be a bounce check, and there would be serious trouble. I'd have to leave the country or something just to stay alive. Anyway. The Sabbath came, I'm like, screw it. I want to relax today, and I went out to eat a couple times. I paid for $2 for a real shower at some gas station place. But they're not too keen on bleach, apparently. And, but I get a shower, okay? What am I complaining about? So, so many things I want to say, and that's what would hinder what I need to say. I have my guitar, I'm happy about it. Right next to me here. I figured I'd have a little bit of traffic out here, but what's good is that I'm in a place where it's quiet, and I can drink wine here, and I can just sleep in my truck if I've had too much. And there's pump water nearby where I could pump water if I, absolutely need it. But there was the Sabbath, and resting is uncomfortable for me, and thinking is work, and when you're afflicted and you're homeless and you're destitute, all you do is work. Well, I don't know. I mean, some people, they lay down, don't want to spend any, they can't afford to expend any more energy because they have no, new food coming in or anything like that. So the object in that frame of mind, or in that predicament, without faith, I suppose, is just to lay low and who knows, maybe that they're doing all the work they can in their head. I practice what I preach. I should imagine that I'm not the only one that does that, right? So I'm thinking, sometimes there's a studies done, they call it the Dunning effect, where people with a low IQ, with low IQs, dumb people, they tend to think that they're smarter. And then on the other end, the people with high IQs, when they see other people that are like on level with them, they almost kind of, they envy it, or they think very highly, or they they really laud the abilities of another IQ like them, and they tend to underestimate their own and downplay it, and they often don't. They have to question things. I suppose when you're intelligent, you know that you have to be able to admit when you're wrong. You have to be able to admit your weaknesses. It's the same thing when you go into a gym. A lot of people don't like the conflict, I think, of going into a gym, because there is a place when you get down and start working out where you have to admit, well, I'm not this strong. I want to be this strong. I came into the gym to be this strong, but I'm not that strong. And I'm weaker than I am. It's going to take more work than I thought. So you actually, to follow through and get to the place where you wanted to go or thought you were at or would like to be at, you'll find that you have to humble yourself, and you have to, even if you're a big dude or whatever, maybe you're a seasoned weightlifter, you still have to admit how much you can't do, because you do I need to give you an example on that? If you can't bench your body weight, which every man should at least be able to do, that's any man without, physical disabilities or something like that should at least be able to bench his own body weight. And if you can't do that, the only way that you're going to be able to get there is not, well, maybe someday it'll just happen and I'll come in and I'll be able to do it. You have to admit that I can't do what a man is supposed to do, and I'm going to have to learn how. I'm going to have to work at it. It's humbling, and I think that's that conflict right there, and facing that and being honest with yourself is a big reason why many people don't go to the gym. Many people don't like to exercise. They have to admit when they can't do stuff. So, where was I? I've got a nice view here. Mosquitoes are going to be fun. Ooh, horsefly. Or horsefly that needs me to be mean to it. And, okay, so I was on exercise. I have to backtrack. I have to understand, okay, the Sabbath came and then I rested. Maybe I got off track. And it made all the difference in the world. I'm like, I have to rest from this thinking. From work. I mean, I'm not gainfully employed. I've got a book on the market, and I gave the authorities enough information on a killer with a $50,000 reward that I'm appalled that they haven't convicted the guy yet. And I'm, hoping that maybe there'll be a confession or something like that, because I earned that money. And then I didn't want the money to begin with, but now I could definitely use it then. Money wasn't why I did it. I did it because I see things differently than other people, and I wanted to see if I could crack it. And it was almost like, how I found out about it was almost like someone was asking. Maybe a subtle way. I see those things. That would be beautiful. That would be so glorious for Elohim and for the victim's family. That appeared to be doing the asking. We're doing the asking. So, I'm exhausted and I'm like afflicted all the time, and something's got to break, and I'm like, man, I can't just keep hobbling on like this. This is insane. But it's going through fire. It's strengthening my faith. And then I took the day off yesterday. The hell with it. I went around and I went to the library, not because I'm homeless, but so I could read. And I read out of my book. And I took it to the park and I read out of it, laying on my clean blanket. And I had clean clothes on because I had a clean shower. And I washed my clothes, and I just took the day off. And heck with it. And I went back out to my place in the woods to sleep in my truck and made some recordings, and I had like one of the best nights I had in a long time, best sleeps I've had in a long time. And then today I'm in think mode again. It's like, oh, I need quiet time. I have to be places. Even though yesterday I did work, because when I read, I'm reading a book, I have to study everything, make sure it works. In this particular book, it's not working very well. There's some creative writer from Calvin College, and maybe he shouldn't be a writer, because I can't follow his book yet. And it's nonfiction, it's a murder. So that release, that resting, even though it's uncomfortable and I don't like doing it, and yeah, thinking is work, it makes a huge difference. And so I'm trying to do it again today, and I did it most of the morning. I lost my keys, as a matter of fact. All things work together for Elohim. It was probably for some prevention or something to keep me from getting in an accident or whatever. My brakes seem to be doing better. They're starting to self-adjust in the back, which is strange. They're not as hot, and I was looking for something like that. They're self-adjusting rather than being man-adjusted, which screws them up. They're sending signals to one another, and of how they work, you know. There's overcompensation, undercompensation, all that shit, and it's working itself out. Can you see how hard it is for me to just explain these daily things? So here, let me get into this. I'm really big into deceptions and subtleties and stuff like that. So you're in the store. I know you've been through this. And you see someone peripherally in a cart, and you're heading through some islands of, you know, some stashes here and there and stuff, and other shoppers, and they deliberately kind of get in your way, inconvenience you to with their cart facing you, to with their hands on it, to price something that they've never looked at to price ever in their life, and you know they did it just to cut you off, just to, and maybe you can't understand what's going on. And see, they're led by a spirit, and I can guarantee you it's a demonic spirit that does that. And it's an aggrandizement by association type thing. I was talking about the dumb people. They think that they have it all together, and the very intelligent people, they have to admit that when they don't, and some of them don't. They're the ones that turn out to be the killers and stuff like that. They're very prideful, and they think everyone else is stupid. So there's a guy in this store the other day. I'm walking out of the store, and he's walking into open territory. I'm following him, and I can't go one way or the other, and he's got this like way to him, going back and forth, where he can go one direction or the other, and you have, if he starts to decide to go left when you're going left, you're going to have to follow him. Or if he starts to go to right, you want to go to the right, he starts to go to the right, you're going to have to wait for him, because he's deliberately inconveniencing you for the sake of some kind of power that he doesn't have. The devil has no power of his own. He can only take what God creates and destroy it and darken it and hinder it, and he thinks that's power. It's really a compliment, but if you play that game, or if you draw yourself out to do it to them, or to, you know, do it in revenge, or do it in retaliation, do the same thing back to them, or do it to other people, or whatever, you're coming down to their level. They're bringing you down to their level. So, and I do this with people that I go to court with and stuff like that, or people, I don't do this, people that I go to court with against and stuff like that, or take me to court, they do that. They, as long as they can take me to court, as long as they can stay attached to me somehow, have their hooks in me somehow, they feel important, because all men want to be righteous, and they really hate righteous people. All men, you know, they want to be, I shouldn't say all men want to be, I mean, some people are probably deliberately evil, but men they want honor, and they want to be righteous. That's why they're such liars and say that they are. So when they actually, come across somebody, and this is spiritual, understand, they might not necessarily know what they're exactly doing. As long as they can try to make it hard for you, they hate God, and as long as they can make it hard for you. Here's another example. I'm out in Oregon. I'm in a busy a four-way in the street in town, in my truck, and I'm at the four-way, and some people are walking across, and the last people that are walking across know that, you know how it goes, if they know you're waiting for them, and, until they pass, then you can go. And what they do is they start slowing down while you're waiting for them, and they start pointing up, like she'll point up to her husband, oh, look at this shop here, look at that. They don't do that when there's not somebody there waiting to go through. Do you know what I'm saying? So they're deliberately gaining some kind of power, and that's like a entitlement spirit right there. Kind of vindicative, people owe me, I'm going to take it right now, even if it's not true. Can you see how sick that is? Am I making it clear enough? More subtleties, I'm going on. This is a blame-shifting technique that women are really good at, and I don't play it, and today I didn't play it at all. I want to say I was unfriendly. Yeah, I was unfriendly, but it was, what they did is they're trying to make me out to be unfriendly because I don't like their subtle treatment. This is what I'm getting at. So, I had a woman one time, one of my customers, and I told her how my day went, so I'm driving through town in the rain, and, I've got sloppy steering, and I didn't tell her I didn't have insurance at the time. And it's, during a festival, I figured, there won't be anybody, I'm going to run over or anything. It's raining, it's a Sunday. And I'm, got the sloppy steering, I'm driving in the right lane, and I'm playing with my radio, leaning over the truck, and the homeless guy fell right out in the street, prostrate, right in front of my vehicle, and I stopped, put on the hazards, the cars around me went around, guy got up, pretended, he said, I'm okay, he pretended he was picking up some mailbox that had fallen over, and if that doesn't keep with the theme of the deception. And I went to I told this woman about how that went, and and try to, I talked to my customer to try to, include some wisdom and, some understanding and learn lessons from these things, because I don't always get a chance to talk to them in conversation. And this woman, I could tell you, these are millionaires that drive, Corvettes that look like Batmobiles and shit, but they're not healthy people, I can tell you that. Not physically, certainly not mentally. And this woman says, well, I'm glad that it worked out for you. And she made this blame shift, and she made it sound like I was a selfish person through that little subtlety to try to get me to fall in suit with it and maybe play along that I'm this selfish person and all I do is think about myself, and isn't it good that I didn't run over that guy because it would be bad for me. That's what she was trying to blame on me. She was trying to turn on me she was trying to darken, I guess, I don't know, whatever she wanted to darken in me, the light. Because if she can do that, then she can claim that she has light. She can claim that she's powerful. Isn't that sick? So, here's another scenario. There's an attorney that I talked to, and it was a landlord issue just recently. And these are well-known attorneys, and this attorney, she came in. He doesn't look like a very happy person. Well, either am I. She's an attorney. She makes her money off of other people's miseries. Okay? That's how she makes her money. And, attorneys. So, I'm in there, asking her if I've got a case. And then we talked briefly about the killer exposed. And it's, in this town, she was really interested in it. She was off the record. She said, you don't have a case here with this landlord thing. I'm sorry about that, but I'm interested in this, tell me more about, this going to detectives in the FBI about this guy and stuff like that. So I told her about it. And the reason why I tell people is because I want people to pressure the police. It's been 5 years they haven't caught this guy, and it's been 6 months since I turned him in. And they still can't catch him because he's smart. And they know it's him. They know it's him. I do have to question myself. Could I be wrong? Is there a possibility? Yes, but they know it's him. It's him. He did it. So, anyway, before I left, she opened the door to let me out, this little conference room, and she says, well, it was nice meeting you. And she said it in a fashion as made it feel like all I did was talk about myself, and all I cared about was how smart I was in apprehending this gentleman and the things that I do, even though, I mean, she knew I had brain damage and all this stuff. She was just, she realized somehow, and women are very good at this, very quick and very subtle, they're masters at it, in an instant, in her inferiority, that she's making money doing what I make no money at, and I'm homeless doing, actually catching criminals, and it's not work to be ashamed of, and writing books and exposing people that should be in prison that may well be, and I'm not done yet. As long as she can tear me down before I go, it's like kind of the last word thing there, isn't it? Can you see the pattern? It's kind of the last word, something for me to think about. Women are good about I want to give him something for me to think about. They're good at that. It's the last word thing. I'm not going to say always, and here it is. Well, it was nice meeting you. It was nice knowing that you're so into yourself. So I might leave there and I might internalize that and go, man, I'm really into myself. And if I do that, then she has succeeded in, well, actually she's deluding herself that she's gained some kind of power, because it isn't power, it's just corruption, it's death, it's sickness. But the devil he wins, he scores there. So does that make sense to you? I hope it does. And I got more. So we're at 27 minutes, and here I'm heating up, speeding up, and I've got one more that I'd like to share about how gifted people see things differently. And I wished I'd put this in my book. I didn't know how to do it, and my brain was so tightened up by the time I wrote the last chapter. It was like when you go into a gym and you can do 20 curls. The first 3 curls are really super easy, and with the same weight at at the 18th and 19th and 20th rep, you can barely lift the same weight that used to be easy to lift, because your muscles are tightened and they're exhausted, and they need rest to grow. Excuse me. And hopefully that drives home the issue about taking rest, and how important it is to Sabbath and give your mind rest, and not to work all the time and calculate and figure things out and keep rushing and and letting people move you on and stuff. Detach from all that. Anyway, I got to go back here to the kitchen and grab my jug of wine. Got a really good deal on it. I didn't expect to find it, and it's my favorite brand, and a kind that I didn't even know existed from this brand, that I like better than all of them so far. I mean, how can that? And all I had to do was wipe the dust off of it. It was like on sale. It was clearance. We don't want this anymore. We found this it's getting in the way. We're holding a door open with it. God, horsefly? Yeah. I knew being close to water was gonna be more of a fight with bugs. So here's the other scenario. See okay, this is how I wanted to word what I couldn't word in my book. I did find a way to do it, and I can improve upon it. But it's known that people with gifted intelligence, they ask one of the questions that they ask to try to determine if you are gifted or not is, do you see things that other people don't? And people often put that into words for me. Do you see things that other people don't? And I wonder if they're not gifted for the very reason that they know how to phrase that. And so I ask them back, and I know they are. They're people that I deal with. I can tell who's... And these people, they get into popular mechanics, and they get into science projects and gear shift kits on their car, and they know, the temperature of light bulbs. That come on. So I think many people don't know it that are gifted. I could never understand. I was always kind of deceived and miffed. I was just, if everybody has all the same resources that I have, how come they don't know what I know? How come they don't see what I see? So what's obvious to me is not obvious to other people. And now here's a kicker, and my book is, very big on self-deception, big into self-deception. I've been studying it for a long time, and I probably always will. And that's admitting that I don't know it all, and that's good, because maybe more answers will come along the way. That's how you grow, by admitting you can't do it, so that you don't have all the answers. That's when you're teachable. That's when you learn. That's when you grow. So, just like in the gym, when you admit that I can't lift this, I'm going to have to reduce the weights, whatever, and I'm going to have to, it's going to be hard. I don't know if I can do it. We'll see. That's what work is. So, it isn't that it's not obvious to other people. Other people actually, in many cases, I believe, see what the gifted see, but they choose not to see it as a form of protection. And they don't want to get involved. They don't want to rock the boat. They're more passive. They get far more benefits if they don't. They don't want to go through what gifted people go through. They don't want to go through... People didn't want to do what Jesus did. No. Oh, they wanted the benefits. They wanted the easy way out. While I was in this homeless shelter, I realized that some of these people in here are very, very intelligent. One of them was so gifted, it will take me a long time to understand him and remember him. I very much admire his gift. And his came from a head injury, as a matter of fact. But I think he was gifted before that. I can tell by his eye color and the dilation of his pupils, how small they are. He is way... So when he comes in to sit down and have lunch, I see him, he'll sit down first and he starts stroking his chin. He's got to remember stuff. And that's kind of our sense. It's good. He's thinking. He's in think mode. That's what you see him and I doing together. And I want him to do... He's doing good stuff with what he's doing. He's doing, especially for like a non-saved person. He's he blows me away. He blows me away. I can't understand him. I don't think I've ever seen anybody so... He's even entertaining in what he does. He's right on sometimes. So right on that no one can believe it. And that's what makes him mad, and that what gives him more fuel. And he doesn't listen very well. He does a lot of talking. A lot of gifted people do. But I noticed in this place that a lot of these people, even though they're not quite educated, and this man's very educated, but their grammar might not be very good. They might not be good spellers and things like that, but they're very intelligent. And one of the less intelligent that I would assume would be less intelligent people, and he's missing teeth and stuff like that, and missing all his front teeth. He's a really smiley guy and stuff. I tried to explain to him, do you really... I mean, some of these people in here are really, really smart. And he says, it's probably, the people that aren't smart, they're all out there in houses and stuff. They've got housing and they've got all their benefits and everything. And I'm, I was trying to explain to him, these people are, they resist authority and stuff like that. It has something to do with why they're homeless and everything, but it's because they're smart and they know they're not supposed to put up with the shit they've been putting up with. Does that make sense? Okay, can I take a breather? I bet you wish I would. And so, my cousin Mark, I was like endowed with, God's given me like leadership qualities. I use them non-verbally, I use them verbally, whatever. I've really learned I've tried to do the best I can with them, and there's more to come, God willing. Well, according to His promises, there's much more, and I've got literature out there that will back it. So, my cousin Mark, when we were younger, we were crazy, we were into drugs, and we were drinking a lot, and we were bad kids, okay? There were other people out there that were bad too, but shame on us, But I could usually keep my entourage of friends out of trouble as long as they were partying with me, because I had that leadership thing. Like, you look at Charlie Manson, he had the same kind of thing going. He's probably gifted. He's probably super, super, super smart. I can actually understand where he's coming from when he's spilling out his self-centered metaphors and stuff like that. He goes to, I didn't want to get off on this, and he doesn't deserve the attention, but he's done nothing to rehabilitate himself in prison. He's still alive. He goes to, when he goes to his parole hearings, he writes poems because he knows he's not going to get out. He writes poems. He writes them poems to entertain them. He's just a jackass from hell. But I had the same kind of leadership qualities as he did in the party world. And, I knew not to be a drug dealer. Nobody would mess with me if I was just small time, just playing things smart. Not that doing drugs is smart. But anyway, Mark, he kind of looked up to me. He was a little bit younger, I think, yeah. We were court ordered to stay away from each other at one point because we were so mental together. We were such bad influence upon one another, and his mother was buying us liquor. I think that had something to do with it. But we were sitting on the rim of Houghton Lake one time, and I told him, just kind of an anthropologic view of, something of, how many lights I used to notice when I came up on the lake at night when I was a kid and what it looks like now. And he said, he didn't always give me compliments, but when he did, they're profound. In this one, he said, they should make someone like you mayor of this town. And it's not a job that I would take for any town. But it was, and certainly not that one. It was a very high compliment of Mark. That's all that he was trying to say. And so, what he did is he followed me, one, because he appreciated what I did, and I helped him see things, make things obvious, open his eyes to things that he couldn't see, and that's why he gave me that compliment. And because it wasn't the first time; it was a ongoing thing. And here's a couple examples where there was some dudes in town, a family that we didn't party with, him and I, Mark and I, because they were a little bit older and they were a little bit dirtier than us. I bought a motorcycle from these people one time, from this family, and it was hot. I didn't realize that until I got pulled over by the police, and they found that the serial numbers were scratched off, and the title that was given to me was from a bike that was burned and destroyed. Anyway, one of these kids one of these dudes, he used to force people to play Russian roulette with them, force them to play Russian roulette with them. So, you know, we were out in Mark's car one time at Emery Field. It's Emery, it's just a little dirt plain where we used to go to party. Things got pretty crazy out there. There had been cars burned. There had been cars crushed. There had been my girlfriend smashed a car out there. There's fights, underage drinking, all that. There used to, before our day and the generation before at that place, apparently the farmer from down the road used to walk his cow down on party nights, and they'd have cow punching contests, and you can imagine how wicked that got, okay? So we're out at a pretty tame night, and there's, I don't know, probably a good 18 people around the fire, making not a full circle, but like a half moon, say. A nice big fire, and we're just sitting in the windshield like we often did, contemplating things, just kind of like watching life through the windshield like it was a television screen, and we're watching the fire, and they're not aware of us, and we're just watching, drinking our beer or whatever. Maybe we're rolling doobies. I don't know what we're doing there, but we just hadn't got out of the car yet or something. And I noticed one of the Russian roulette dude. He was moving in, and he was older than us. He's moving in on a kid that's younger than us, and he's putting kisses on his neck and stuff. And then the kid, he starts moving away, and he starts sidestepping toward the half moon, toward the rest of the other kids that are like him. And then they start moving away from him. And then here comes Russian roulette guy again. He comes closer, and he starts caressing his ear with his mouth and stuff like that, and tries putting kisses on his neck. The guy moves closer to what he thought were his friends, or his people that would help him, and they pretend they don't see it, and they sidestep around again, and it's going around like a clock. And I said, Mark, look at what's going on out there. And I explained to him how it's happening, and we're both looking at the same stuff, but he didn't see it until his eyes didn't. I didn't have to draw his eyes into one or the other. He knew who I was talking about. He knew what was going on. He could see it, but his eyes didn't blink as I was explaining it to him, and his eyes would not blink after I explained it to him. He was hypnotized. He was like, "Oh my God." And that was the kinds of things that I'd show Mark all the time. And so here's another example. We're doing the same kind of thing, but in the daytime at a park, eating Burger King food. We just pulled in there to eat Burger King food, and we're aimed at this park toward the water, and there's a fence between us, and there's a slide that goes up. It's like a tubular slide that goes around or something. That they've got a conveyor of kids going up and down it, and up and down it, and up and down it. And there's a cement toilet, ladies and men's in there. It looks like there's some facilities there, some water or something. And that's well, anyway, one of the kids, we're both eating and we're both watching the same things. We were we thought a lot. Sometimes we even saw the same hallucinations. So anyway, this one particular kid, rather than to go into what he did, he ran around the back of this building. The only thing going by is traffic, doesn't realize that anybody could be sitting in the parked cars in the parking lot, and he pulls crap out of his pants and throws it on the ground, runs back to the slide, puts his hands on the rail, climbs right back up, and slides back down the slide so it gets back into the trail of the conveyor. Rather than, he was so caught up into his playing, it was easier for him to run around the back of this building, throw the poop out of his pants, rather than go into the bathroom and deal with it. Certainly probably wouldn't wash his hands, and probably none of the kids did. And Mark saw the same thing that I did, but he didn't see it until I said, "Did you see that?" And he went into hypnotized mode again, because he did see it. I just opened his eyes to it. So isn't that interesting? So it isn't that the lower IQ, which Mark would admit in that place, because he did view me as a leader in that, and he did compliment me in that at times. It isn't that he's dumb and he doesn't see the things. It's that he doesn't want to. He's denying them. It's too much of a conflict for him. He can't. It's too painful. That's why people deceive themselves to try to. They don't want to deal with pain. That's why people justify their sins and stuff like that. They don't want to deal with pain. That's a big part of it. So hopefully I was able to enlighten you there a little bit with those things that I said. It took me a little while to get warmed up, and I'm doing better than I expected and better than usual. So praise Elohim for that in this moment. So on the other hand, I have to tell you, this I learned it today, or confirmed it today, learned it yesterday. One of the huge difficulties I've had with brain damage is math. Okay? I've studied math at home like severely, hours. I questioned people. I messed with people. I've taken formal classes. It's not that I don't get it. It's not that I'm not bad at math. Bad at math. Did I say that right? Yeah, I'm bad at math. I want to make sure I didn't say mad at Bath. So I'm that too. I'm mad at Bath, and I'm bad at math. So, and I'm funny too, huh? So, it's not just that I'm not experienced in it or not rehearsed in it. It's just that my brain is impaired, and I'm going to give you a good example. I figured out maybe 20 years ago, okay, what 10% is, because I had to figure out legalism and how to tithe, because that's what churches want, right? So I had to figure out 10%, and I made that easy. Okay, so 10% of $10 would be $1, and 10% of $20 would be $2. That's pretty easy, and I could get down to, okay, $15 would be $1.50. Okay, I can do that. That's easy. And at the same time that I learned that, and it became easy to me, studying math like I do with this high IQ, only with an impaired brain. And math is one of the things that people get hit with when they have my type of brain damage and math abilities. Is that I couldn't figure out how to tip a waitress, because that's 20%, and I couldn't understand. And even as of recent, I have to be in a place where my phone can get internet service, so I can ask Google, what is 20% of $14.93, and I've even gotten it wrong as of recent and given the waitress only 10%, and I haven't seen the waitress since to explain to her or to make up the difference. I'm so sorry about it, and it's so crippling for me. And my mother, I was out to eat with her a long time ago, and I'm like, and I couldn't admit that I had brain damage like I did. I don't think I told her where my brain damage came from. Let her draw her own conclusions. But I was trying to add up this bill, and I said, I don't know what 20% of this is. And she said, I know you don't. But I just learned yesterday that all I have to do is figure out what 10% of the bill is, which is easy, and I could do, and just double that. And then I've got my 20%. But do you understand now? It took me 20 years just to do that with my brain. It took me 20 years still screwing it up as of recent because I can't figure out 20%, what 20% is. It was that difficult, and now I still have to use some kind of cheating method to come up with the thing. I'm glad I have, and you know, I'd rather not even have to deal with that whatsoever. But that's what it's like dealing with my brain damage. That's just to give you an example of, you know, here's a guy with a high IQ. He's got brain damage. The brain damage or the high IQ was there before the brain damage came. Only the brain damage actually put me in a humble state, I believe, to where now it can be useful, because it was going to pot before. Before I was doing drugs, I was, you know, whatever. I was working for the devil. Now I'm working for God. So anyway, beautiful blessings there, and yeah, hopefully you're enlightened, and hopefully there's some understanding there, and hopefully there's people out there that go through the kinds of things that I have that need that encouragement. I have my guitar. I need to play it, and I'm at 51 minutes on the recorder. I could make it an hour and call it a... Just a poor boy, though my story is seldom told. I have squandered my resistance for a pocket full of mumbles such as promises, all lies and jest. Still a man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. Na 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 na. He disregards the rest. When I left my home and family, I was no more than a boy in the company of strangers, in the quiet of the railway stations, running scared and laying low, and seeking out the poorer quarters where the ragged people go, searching all the places that only they would know. And la la la. Seeking only workmen's wages, I come looking for a job, but I get no offers. Just to come on from the whores on 7th Avenue. I do declare, there were times that I was so lonesome, I took some comfort there. Na 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 na. I'm taking comfort there. I'm laying out my winter clothes and wishing I was gone. I'm going home. And New York City winters on bleeding me, leading me, going home. In the clearing stands a boxer and a fighter by his trade, and he carries a reminder of every glove that laid him down, or cut him till he cried out in his anger and his shame. I am leaving, but the fighter still remains. Na 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 na. The fighter still remains. La la la. I'm bowed down to